Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Some of you might have seen that this last month during Vlogoween, I did a little bit of vlogging over at Ikea, and I realized that they had quite the art supply selection in the children's area. Now, it was in the children's area, and I really have no idea what the quality of these are. They will likely not be artist grade supplies. So I went ahead and picked up a few things. First and foremost, I found this package of markers, which are likely water-based. They don't specifically say that, and obviously there's a lot of languages on there that I can't read. But there was kind of a nice range of colors, and so I'm assuming this is sort of a Crayola kind of marker, water-based marker, similar to what I used in my Dollar Tree Cheap Art Supply Challenge. I'll link that up above. Next, I picked up some of these pencils that I saw that they had. They're a wider kind of pencil, which they do have their own sharpener in here, which is nice because I don't think I have one that would fit these. They are larger, probably for younger hands to be able to hold on to them a little bit better. And I was on the fence about getting these or actual watercolors, which they did have a set of watercolors. And I decided to go with these because I did see down here, there's a little photo that has a paintbrush using water, and so it looks like they are at least implying that these are sort of water soluble or watercolor pencils, and they were quite a bit cheaper than getting the watercolor set. I believe the watercolor set, which came with quite a few of the like kind of chalk pan, I believe was $8. It did include brushes and quite a range of colors, but that was a little expensive for me to feel like it was worth trying out. If you guys are interested, I could definitely go back and pick up that set to try it if you really are curious, but I decided for this haul I wanted to get a variety of things for a bit of a cheaper price. So I actually paid $3.99 or $4 for these. Paid $1.99 for these. So these were $2, so very, very inexpensive. These were $4, so a little bit more expensive. You have less of a color range, but again, it does imply that they are water soluble, so we will see about that. And then they did have brushes, a set of 6 brushes, which there's sort of these 3 flat or wash brushes, and then these 3 round brushes. They have some pretty short handles, so these again are definitely for children, but I did look at the bristles on these and they did seem very soft and like they might work for watercolor or something similar to watercolor, and these I believe were $1.50, so not expensive at all, and figured it was worth spending the money on to see. Did decide to try to pick up some paper there, and so I did find in the sort of stationery area, they did have these little sketchbooks, and they did have some that were open, and I kind of felt on some of the paper, and this had a slightly thicker than normal paper, and it is blank pages. Hopefully I can use this as a sketchbook later on anyway, and I did want to go into this buying things that I was hopefully going to be able to reuse. And so I believe this sketchbook was $3 or $2.99. So not too bad for everything, and also I decided to include, of course, the free Ikea pencil, because why not? And I'm gonna need something to sketch with, and it's free, so I'll include it. And I figured I would try them out. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna use them, and I'm not gonna put any sort of limitations on using these supplies for an illustration, but I'm gonna try out using just these materials, possibly just these or just these in this notebook to start. If it really doesn't work out, I might also get out some watercolor or mixed media paper to test out the color ranges of these and see how they are. So I'm gonna get started by opening up all the packages and swatching everything on the first couple of pages. So I just opened the pencils and I found some sort of instructions in here, and it does mention that these pencils are water soluble. So with a wet brush, your child can blend colors in their drawing for creative results. So first impressions, I'm definitely not liking this paper. It's way too thin. I kind of figured as much. This might work as a great sketchbook. I mean, it was fine for using pencil, but I don't think I'm going to be able to complete an illustration with this. So I think I'm going to probably use some mixed media paper or watercolor paper for my final piece. First, I wanted to mention that the colors from the pencils seemed to pick up quite well with the water. As you can tell on this paper, it just doesn't really do much with it, since it's not the right paper for water media. But I did notice that the colors picked up quite well, spread along the paper, so they do pick up, they are water soluble. And I did want to mention also that the colors for the markers are actually very vibrant and very pretty. I really enjoy the purples, or the purple and the greens. And I did want to mention that the way the tips are on the markers, you can get a wide range of different line weights based on how you hold the marker. So that's kind of nice. And the tip is actually quite thin, so I might use that for some sort of line work or something. And then the last thing is I only really used this small round brush because that's typically what I'll use, and it is quite soft and flexible and held the water well and worked really well. So I think I'm actually going to enjoy working with these brushes. I'll try to do a bit of a wash with one of these flat brushes, but I typically use round brushes like this anyway, so I'll probably rely on this size as well as maybe this one. They jump up in size quite a bit, so I might just hold off and use this one mostly, but we will see. So I'm gonna get myself set up with some paper, and I also wanted to try my technique with the markers where I kind of swatch them out onto a plastic or wax paper and try to pick them up like paint and see what I can do with those. And then we'll try to draw something and see what we can make with these Ikea art supplies. And this is the final piece. I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I did want to mention that I used sort of a red and orange from the markers to paint the box, and while orange is not one of my favorite colors, I love this sort of pinky orange that it created. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up super well, but I thought it turned out pretty good for pretty cheap supplies. I had a lot of fun painting with the marker ink and even painting a little bit with the water-soluble pencils in these leaves here and here and here. I feel like they blended pretty well, pretty comparable to better watercolor pencils that I've used before. I will say that I don't use watercolor pencils too often. I want to practice more with them, so they aren't in my sort of normal arsenal of art supplies, but I felt like these actually blended pretty well. The pigment picked up with the water and it blended with the other colors pretty well. Let me know, have you tried art supplies from Ikea before? Is that somewhere that you even thought about buying art supplies from? I honestly didn't until we went and I saw that they had some and they were cheap enough that I figured I would try them out. And as long as you use a better paper, something that can hold watercolor, at least the way I used the materials here, I will say that's one of my best tips for starting out. You can get away with cheaper supplies as long as you have a nicer paper. The paper is really going to dictate how well the supplies work, and definitely invest in some watercolor paper. Like I mentioned, this is the watercolor paper I typically use, and it's really, really inexpensive. I buy mine from Michaels with their coupons, or this paper typically is on sale quite often, so I stock up quite a bit and it works well enough for things like this, and I think it's a great starter paper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed my experimenting with different kinds of supplies. Let me know down below if there are other art supplies from different stores or other cheap art supplies that you're interested in seeing me test out. I always love doing little challenges like this once in a while to change how I see the supplies I use and test out different kinds of supplies and different methods and ways of applying art. If you enjoy art challenges and all sorts of art videos similar to this, I suggest you subscribe and you will get weekly videos from me. I upload every Friday and I like to have a variety of different kinds of art videos on my channel, so make sure to subscribe to not miss out on anything in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a creatively fulfilled day, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.